So, to just get right to the point, Deus Ex Mankind Divided is the direct sequel to one of my favorite last-gen games, Deus Ex Human Revolution. God, I love that game. To the point of worshipping it. Our Seraph Industries in Cyberpunk Detroit, though you may augment us beyond all moral and ethical reason, please allow the moral and non-moral dialogue choices to be equally viable, and grant breach chances to those against us as we would grant breach chances to ourselves. Praxis, men. Now, one could guess for that level of commitment that I was going to cover the sequel no matter what, even if I'm extremely way behind everyone else to do it. But stalling aside, let's get right into the game. The first thing that I should mention is the production of Deus Ex Mankind Divided. Now, normally I'm not the kind of gay bitch to gush over graphics and sound to the point where I'm ready to put out, but damn if Deus Ex doesn't make me want to put out. I mean, really, look at this game. Everything in this game is just gorgeous. Whether it's the beautiful pre-rendered cutscenes, amazing facial animations that Mass Effect Andromeda wish it had, top-notch voice acting, stunning in-game environments, and an ambient cyberpunk soundtrack that fits extremely well. Hell, the simple fact that rain can bounce and run off the side of your gun shows how impressive this game is from a technical standpoint. But sadly, these feats do come at a price. The load times for this game can be downright murder, with some areas taking around 3 to 4 minutes to load in, and I've also encountered a good bit of mid-game frame rate slowdowns as well, but beyond those two major issues, it ran fine on my PS4 Pro, but I'd imagine that this game would most likely run a little worse on both the basic Xbox One and PS4, given the fact that my Pro had a couple issues running it. Shifting gears, I'm really fucking hyped to talk about the story and gameplay, because both seem like massive refinements from Human Revolution. The story still stars Adam Jensen 2 years after the events of Human Revolution, and at this point Adam is working with Interpol in Prague to help stop terrorism. Starting now, and trying to hunt down the Illuminati controlling the world from behind the scenes with the Collective. Now, if you're scared about being extremely lost of this franchise's story by hopping in mid-series, don't be. The devs were kind enough to include a 12-minute movie that will get you up to speed on everything that happened in the 10 out of 10 Woodbank story of Human Revolution. With that info given, let me go a little further into the story. I honestly really like the story. It adds on a lot of lore to the international politics and conspiracy story the first game had going on. Then in addition, I also like the game's strong social commentary on racism that is very well written and shown, but doesn't force you to take a side, which the first game touched on, but this game heavily focused on. With the major concept being that after the worldwide hacking event that caused almost every augmented person to go haywire and start murdering everything in the end of the first game, a real rift formed between both augmented and non-augmented people afterward that led to Augs becoming an oppressed ethnic group, which this game didn't hold any punches. There were even a few moments that hit me emotionally. Like one time I found an augmented family that had committed suicide because they couldn't afford to raise a child they were about to have. I also like how this game lets you form your own thoughts on the matter, and it even presents solid cases for both sides. Then beyond that, the rest of the plot is great on its own as well, because the story of trying to stop radicals and uncover the truth about a secret society is done extremely well on its own. It all made for a great story that I had no real issue spending 40 plus hours with on Give Me Deus Ex difficulty. To be honest, my only two issues of the plot were the characters were 50-50 when it came to likability. Some examples of this were characters like Arya and Miller that were great, while characters like Delilah and Kohler were really annoying to me. And the ending was pretty abrupt. Now, onto the gameplay. Just like the first game, Mankind Divided is a sub-open world game, but instead of Detroit and a very little of China, you roam around Prague. And across your journeys in Prague, you'll encounter identity fraud.
No more faking documents ever again.
touchy police officers, serial killings, prostitution, cultists, overly generic Slavic accents,
This is the Ascension. Have you never heard of it?
racism, more guns and ammo than cocaine.
Hey man, I need my fix.
Hey, you got the money?
It's good enough. Parabellum.
And an equal amount of cocaine and other drugs. Wait, this all seems a little extreme. Where was Prague located again? Oh, it's in the Czech Republic. I'm now completely okay with everything that I just listed. Anyway, getting back on track, you have the city of Prague to explore outside of main missions, which does serve itself well in that regard, and while in Prague I always felt like I was in a living, breathing world due to the open world of Prague brimming with life, having lots of areas to explore, and giving you lots of solid side quests that tie into the main plot very well. But at its heart, Mankind Divided is a stealth cover shooter RPG hybrid much like Human Revolution before it. Now on the first level, Adam will start out with most everything unlocked so you can get a feel of what playstyle you like best, whether it's stealth, combat, or a hybrid of both. But after a plot device happens in the early parts of the game, Adam loses most of those abilities and you will have to build him towards what playstyle you like the most, using the Praxis leveling system that lets you upgrade Adam's ability by gaining new augmentations. For example, if you want to stealth the whole game, you'll get upgrades like invisibility and remote hacking. Then if you want to make a combat build, you would pick upgrades like tougher body armor and being able to smash through walls. Then to further expand this system, you have extra experimental augs that allow you to further specialize Adam towards your preferred playset, but require you to shut down other augs to stop your system from overheating. You also have an RPG dialogue system that allows you to have very fleshed out conversations while making events and missions pan out wildly different depending on how you converse, along with most choices you make affecting the game's story and ending. Adding on, you have a new weapon mod system that allows you to change ammo types and upgrade your guns how you see fit, which allows you to further refine how you engage with combatants. Even hacking got more things added onto it, with there being more hack software consumables and more upgrades for hacking in the Praxis skill tree, making hacking way more dynamic this time around. Then I would say that the levels and encounters are way better designed and structured to fit the open approach of Deus Ex, because the non-lethal approaches are more viable now than they were in the first game, with fuel to your augs not being as sparse as it was in Human Revolution, and the levels and boss fights are dynamic enough to where you're no longer fucked over for not having a combat build for the bosses and being spotted without a stealth build, making for overall improved gameplay that is very open-ended and refined to near perfection. But even with all the shining praise I've given to the gameplay, there's one dark thorn in its side. Breach mode was honestly the worst part of the entire game. It's extremely boring, grindy, and microtransaction filled. I couldn't force myself to keep playing it after the 40-minute mark. All it is just a series of virtual mission challenges, which is purposefully slow-paced to the point of where you almost have to buy in the microtransactions to progress to new challenge areas, or endlessly grind to do the same. It's a shame that this is just a tacked on cash grab because it could have made for a solid extra mode to the main game. In concluding, I would have to say that I very much enjoyed my time with Deus Ex Mankind Divided. It's a very solid improvement over the first game in every way, with its amazing production, extremely well executed story, and further refined gameplay. But I won't ignore the few technical issues and blatant cash grabbing that mar an otherwise near flawless game. Thankfully, those tech issues don't drag the game down too much and aren't overly invasive on the microtransactional end, but should still be criticized and pointed out. So while Mankind Divided isn't perfect, it's close to it, making it a game that is very well deserving of your time at the very least, and a game that I wish I had the time to play through all over again.